My broader question to you, I think, is about this misinformation. Do you think this is a time to put falsehoods aside, like the idea that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants, which is just not true?
Well, it is true that FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security have been spending billions of dollars on migrants. Now, I understand some people say they're separate funds, but we just passed a short-term spending bill. It's very common for the administration to come and ask for permission to move money between funds, especially to prepare for emergencies. And second, I would note that this administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
You can't make this up. Just can't.
Yeah. What's going on, beautiful people, my brothers and sisters? I hope everybody is blessed, well, healthy, and that nothing but the best is going on in all you beautiful people's life in this corrupt scam of a matrix that we live in, man. The media is disgusting, corrupt, and I keep telling y'all, this lady is not a journalist, she's an activist. She's not a journalist. I keep telling y'all this, man. You know, and a lot of these people shouldn't be in the position that they're in. We'll just be completely honest with you guys, man. You know, a complete embarrassment to our country. You know, and it's an absolute disgrace what they've allowed to happen, man. A huge shout out to these Republicans and fellas like Tom Cotton that goes on and absolutely set things straight, man. You know, because these people are fraud, man. Fraud, you know, and and then there are people clapping for these puppets, you know, 0 votes, most unpopular, worst approval rating, you know, but we've allowed the media, the corrupt media, to build a candidate, you know, and we don't know who's running the country. The fella done dropped his snow cone all in the sand. He done dropped his slushy in the sand. Doesn't know what time of day it is. Mr. President, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun's out. Is he in there asleep? He went on vacation. He went on another vacation. This is the 5th vacation this week. Now this lady's on The View. She's on Sex Podcast talking about tampons. When you got people dying, struggling. Lives have been devastated. People are underwater right now. I just, man, look, I just don't see how FEMA nowhere to be found. $750. They say that people can't get approved. People saying it's a loan. I mean, this is sad, man. My heart goes out to you guys. My prayers, my love goes out to every last one of you guys, man. Our hurricane victims, man, I send my love and condolences, man. You know, this leadership is incompetent, man. I don't see how anybody can go out and vote for this again. I just don't, man. 81 million votes. A cheap fake, a deep fake. Well, huge shout out to Senator Tom Cotton, man. He goes on Meet the Press. I want y'all to check this out, man. But again, this lady is not a journalist. Sorry. She's not a journalist, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We keeping it real every single day, man. We are 29 days out. 28, 29 days out, man. And she should be landslided out. I'm just being honest. From everything we've seen, you know. And I relate to you guys. Again, I relate to a lot of people. I keep it real. I used to be an anti-Trumper, a never Trumper myself. You know. But when you start thinking for yourself, doing your research and listen and not listening to everybody else, the mainstream media, the fake news, the enemy of the people, all this woke media, all this woke crap, that people have been lied to, manipulated, man, just playing in our faces like we're stupid. They think we're stupid. They're eating popcorn right now. And guess what? We are making it for them. That might be the realest thing that I've said today, huh? But we need a quarterback. I like this comment. This comment we got in our previous video. We need a quarterback, not a cheerleader. We need a quarterback, not a cheerleader. We got to win the game. The cheerleaders can only do so much. Shout out to all the beautiful cheerleaders around the world, but they can only do so much. They don't have any effect if we win or lose this game. If America wins, they have no effect. Puppets. And you see one puppet, his strings are shot. Jump in, man.
Now is Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. Senator Cotton, welcome back to Meet the Press. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on, Kristen.
Let's start off by talking about Hurricane Helene. We know that former President Trump has made, quite frankly, a series of baseless claims, including that the Biden administration is intentionally withholding aid from areas where Republicans live, also saying that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants. Both those claims have been debunked. They're false. Here's what Deanne Criswell, the FEMA administrator, had to say about it. Take a look.
This level of misinformation creates this scenario where they won't even come to us. They won't even register. And I need people to register so they can get what they're eligible for through our programs.
Senator, what do you say to that criticism that Mr. Trump is confusing people at a very time when they need help the most?
Well, I don't think he's confusing anyone. I think the administration did get caught flat-footed here, and that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have proven to be overmatched by events again. If you hear from
billions to war and illegals, we the people come last. You can run away from it, hide from it, but we know the truth. And people are feeling that now. Some people couldn't believe it. But yeah, we the people come last.
Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, who's very close to this, is monitoring it on the ground, Georgia's response. He said that the administration's response has been lackluster. I think there's an obvious difference between what happened in western North Carolina, northern Georgia, eastern Tennessee than the normal kind of hurricane impact we see. Most of the time, hurricanes are hitting on the coast, hitting by definition flat land. They can cause devastating damage, but within some reasonable period of time, the waters recede, linemen can come in, trucks can come in, bring supplies. If you look at the geography of where Helene did the most damage, it's in the mountains where you have small, narrow valleys. Even once the storm moved on and there's no more rain, oftentimes these places only have one way in and out. So that's a very different challenge than what you see on coastal areas. And I think the administration from the very beginning should have been deploying military assets necessary, specifically helicopters, to get in there. It took them days to do that. There's hundreds of military helicopters within flying distance of this area. That should have happened from the very beginning.
But Senator, just a couple of points there. The governors themselves has said that they are satisfied with the federal response. Brian Kemp on Monday said, we got what we needed. The Democratic governor of North Carolina said the state is grateful for the support. We know that North Carolina got $27 million to Western North Carolina specifically. There's no doubt that there are challenges in this recovery effort, but I'm asking you about the misinformation that the former president is spreading. Here's what the Charlotte Observer editorial board wrote. They wrote, quote, former President Donald Trump has politicized the situation at every turn, spreading falsehoods and conspiracies that fracture the community instead of bringing it together. Do you think Donald Trump should leave campaign politics out of disaster relief?
Well, no, Kristen, again, you have Governor Kemp who said that the response has been lacking. I understand the Democratic governor of North Carolina is going to praise Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the middle of an election season. But the simple fact is, we're more than a week on. We're still not conducting recovery operations. They're still engaged in rescue operations because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were slow to answer the bell here. They were slow-footed and they were overmatched by events. You even had the Secretary of Homeland Security saying there's not enough money left in the fund. So it is the case that the administration itself, the secretary who oversees FEMA, has said there's not enough money left in the fund, and they have been spending billions of dollars for the last 4 years to move migrants from our border, to put them up in hotels and give them room service and maids. That's simply a fact.
But those funds are coming from a different federal fund, not from disaster relief, just to be clear. And what DHS Secretary Mayorkas said is that it has the money it needs for now, but not necessarily through the end of the year for future hurricanes. So there is a discussion about more funding. You're right about that. But look, Henry McMaster, the Republican governor of South Carolina, said federal assistance has been superb. Glenn Youngkin said he's incredibly appreciative of the rapid response. And again, Brian Kemp on Monday, at least in part, said we got what we need, while also saying, yes, there are some more things that we would like to see here in the state. My broader question to you, I think, is about this misinformation. Do you think this is a time to put falsehoods aside, like the idea that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants, which is just not true?
Well, it is true that FEMA...
Oh, my... How many clips have I played on here for you guys, man? Don't worry, you'll see them in the beginning. In the beginning of the video, you'll see them. I'm gonna make sure I put them in the beginning of the video just for y'all.
And the Department of Homeland Security have been spending
billions. So as
billions
you're watching this right now, you've already seen the videos that I've put in front of the video. Don't worry, I'm gonna make sure y'all see them.
Dollars on migrants. Now, I understand some people say they're separate funds, but we just passed a short-term spending bill. It's very common for the administration to come and ask for permission to move money between funds, especially to prepare for emergencies. And second, I would note that this administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
And again, $110 million have been sent to survivors so far. And again, those are different funds than disaster relief funds. But let me ask you about something different. I want to talk about one of the big moments this week from the vice presidential debate. We just played it in the open when Senator J.D. Vance refused to say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. I want to put this question to you, Senator, just to put this to rest. Can you say definitively here and now that Donald Trump did lose the 2020 election?
Kristen, Joe Biden was elected president in 2020. It was an unfair election in many ways. I mean, you had states that were changing their election practices or election laws, sometimes in violation of their constitution. You had networks combining...
Everybody knows this, unless you were sleeping under a big rock. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows what took place. We know what happened at 3 o'clock in the morning. We know about your mail-in. We seen what happened on camera. We caught them. We seen them when the report came back and they tried to hide it and cover it up. We know about your tampering. We know what happened when everybody went to sleep and woke up.
With big tech to suppress what we now know to be a truthful story about how...
We know about the censorship. That's a big one. Oh, we know about the censorship. We know about the laptop. Throw the laptop out in the middle of the street.
Hunter Biden's laptop and the evidence that it exposed about Biden family corruption. So obviously Joe Biden was elected president. We know that in part because...
But did Trump lose?
Joe Biden was elected, Kristen. There's a process by which we elect presidents. There's votes in November. You have an electoral college vote. You certify the election, and then you have the inauguration. Joe Biden was elected president. Everything has gone to hell in a handbasket as a result of it.
As you know, though, I mean, it has been stated that this was one of the most secure elections in U.S. history. But do you just not want to say that Trump lost? Why not just say the simple,
Kristen,
if Biden is president, can you just simply say Trump lost?
Joe Biden was elected president in 2020. That's why we have runaway inflation. That's why we have more than 10 million illegals in this country. And to go back to the point about the 2020 election,
Thank you, Tom.
Very irregular. You had networks, to include this networks, conspiring with big tech to suppress evidence of Biden family corruption. You had Democratic states and cities like Pennsylvania, like Philadelphia, changing their election practices on the fly. That's one reason why President Trump and the Republican National Committee is so focused on election integrity in this election, to make sure that Democrats aren't doing things like they're trying to do in Pennsylvania.
And she's getting shut down. MSNBC should be ashamed of themselves. I don't know about anybody watches this crap anyways. NBC, ABC, the whole alphabet. I'm just being honest. I know y'all get to laughing and giggling, but the whole alphabet, ABC, CBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, all these alphabet letters. I mean, just throw all the woke media away. You know, they think we stupid. They lied to we the people. Lied. And it's lie after lie, failure after failure, you know. And come to find out, Trump has been right about all the corruption that's taken place. About every last lie and failure. It's all hit the fan. And then they try to spin it again and reverse it to make Trump look like the bad guy. Well, what about J6? What about January 6th? Because they know Kamala is tanking. It's dropping it like it's hot right now. Their campaign is on their knees right now.
Counting absentee and mail-in ballots that don't have dates or that have the wrong date.
And there's no proof that happened. And again, just to be clear, as I said initially, Trump did take his case to court more than 60 times, didn't win those cases. Let me move on and ask you about January 6th. This new evidence unsealed this week. Jack Smith in this filing says he has 3 witnesses, forensic experts, who will testify that when Donald Trump returned to the Ellipse, he went to the dining room by the Oval Office where he watched coverage of the attack against the Capitol unfold. And he was, of course, on his phone, on Twitter. A year ago, I asked Donald Trump about what he was doing during that time. Look. Tell me how you watched this all unfold. Were you in the dining room watching TV?
I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell people later at an appropriate time.
I want to know who you called
By the way,
on that day.
Nancy Pelosi. I don't have. Why would I tell you that?
Did you call military or law enforcement?
What?
Did you call military or law enforcement at the moment the Capitol was under attack?
I'm not going to tell you anything.
Senator, do you think Donald Trump showed leadership in those hours when the Capitol was under attack?
Well, what I think about what Jack Smith did this week is that it was a temper tantrum from a deranged fanatic who is angry that he keeps losing time and time again in the Supreme Court over the course of his career. This is unverified, uncross-examined hearsay from grand jury testimony, which usually isn't revealed publicly for that reason. He went to court. He asked for special permission to file a brief that's 4 times as long as a normal brief and to have it disclosed less than 30 days before the election. This is professional misconduct in all likelihood by Jack Smith, and it should be investigated.
And just to be clear, the judge did unseal it. But just back to the question, do you think Donald Trump showed leadership in those hours that the Capitol was under attack?
Look, I know that President Trump said to the rally-goers who were here on the Ellipse in Washington that day that they should protest peacefully and patriotically.
It took him 3 hours to send that tweet telling them to go home.
He posted videos and other messages on social media once some of those rally-goers started a riot at the Capitol, telling them to leave the Capitol, to not assault law enforcement. I know those things. What Jack Smith is asserting in this filing is unverified, uncross-examined hearsay. This is a perfect example of actual election interference. Jack Smith violating Department of Justice regulations to try to get out as much unverified so-called evidence as he has because he's angry that he lost and the Democrats don't think they can beat Donald Trump on issues like inflation and immigration.
Shut it down, Tom.
On Iran, would you support Israel launching strikes on Iran's nuclear facility, Senator?
We should do what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris haven't done for a year. We should let Israel win, and we should back Israel to the hilt.
So that's a yes?
They will decide how to retaliate against Iran. Iran is our enemy. Israel needs our support. We should back them to the hilt in what they decide to do.
Should they go after the nuclear sites? Would you support that as a U.S.
I'm
Senator?
not going to give Benjamin Netanyahu advice on what to target. I'm going to say that unlike Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we should back Israel to the hilt. We should let them win against our common enemies.
All right. Senator Tom.
Just shut her down. Oh, my goodness. Mop the freaking floor. She's an embarrassment to our country. She's not a journalist. Yeah. What do y'all think of that? Comment down below, man. Make sure I hit that like button, share the video. We keeping it real, baby. I'm sick of all this crap, man. You know, our sweet apple pie democracy, constitutional republic. I don't want to hear all this crap, man. I really don't. I really don't, man. You know, shout out to Senator Cotton, man. A complete boss, man. You know, And it does amaze me how MSNBC continues to bring Tom Cotton back on, you know, and they come on here and just mop the floor. You know, boy. But let me know what y'all think, man. I love y'all, and I will catch you beautiful people in the next one. Peace and love, y'all.